In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating the Identity Playground, which is a UI built around an implementation of the ERC 725 standard for managing identity on the Ethereum blockchain. So this repo is available on GitHub at Origin Protocol /Identity Playground, and it's released with the MIT license. It's also available at this URL here, which is currently connected to the Rinkeby testnet. So this is what the UI looks like if you to go to this URL. You can also, so by default you get these 3 wallets with some Ether in them. You can also add more wallets at the wallet settings page here, where you can switch the network to one of these other ones, and you can manage your networks down here. So this is the version on the Rinkeby testnet, but if you want something that is more responsive, then it's easier if you just run the repo locally. And the way that you do that is by cloning it from GitHub, and then just running npm install. And then once that has completed, then you can just run npm start. And that's going to start up your own local test chain and open it in your browser, the UI in your browser. So when you first start up the app, it's going to create your 3 wallets up here, populate them with 2 Ether each, and then it's also going to create one of these claim issuers here, which we'll talk about in a minute. So the way that I'm going to try and demonstrate this ERC 725 is by imagining a service called BlockBnB, which is a new service that hasn't been created yet for allowing you to rent properties using the Ethereum network. And so the way we're going to represent that is by adding one of these claim checkers. And this is just to kind of simulate a listing contract that you might use to rent a property. So we're just going to call this property listing. And what we want to do is only allow identities that have been that have received a claim that they have a Facebook account. And so we're going to trust this claim issuer Origin here. So any claims that have been signed by Origin and with a claim type of has Facebook, then we're going to allow interactions from those identities. I'm just going to give this button a name of rent me here. So that's created our property listing here with this button called rent me, which we'll use in a second. And now we're going to switch to a different wallet and deploy an identity contract. I'm just going to call that Nick. And so we can see that this identity defaults to just having one key, which is the management key. And this is taken from the private key of this wallet. So essentially, whoever deploys the identity contract, by default, they're the person that controls that identity contract, so they can do things like add different keys or add different claims. And so the first thing that we can try and do is just add a claim about ourselves. So we'll click this add claim button, and we're going to just issue a self-signed claim here. So we can click this add self-claim. I'm going to do a claim type of email. And we're just going to say nick@example.com. Go ahead and add that claim. And so we have our first claim on our identity contract here. The claim type is email. The data is nick@example.com, and we can see that the issuer is the same as the actual identity contract. So this is a self-issued claim right here. So now if we switch back to the property listing, let's simulate what would happen if Nick were to try and run this rentme method. So the identity we're choosing is Nick. Go ahead and check that claim, and we can see that the result is currently invalid. So this contract has looked at the Nick identity for a claim type of has Facebook that was issued by the origin identity contract, and the result was a failure. So Nick does not currently have a claim of type has Facebook issued by the origin contract. So let's go ahead and try and get one of those claims. But before that, let's have a look at this origin claim issuer. And we can see here that the origin identity contract has two keys. It has a management key, which all identity contracts have, and then it also has a claim signer key. So this is the key that's going to be used to sign the claims, the claim that we're going to get on our identity contract in a minute. And then we can also see that we have all these claim signer services. So these are web apps that are currently set up to issue claims, and that's essentially going to be a piece of data that's signed by this identity contract. So we have this claim signer. This is the public key right here, but with the private key that's associated with this public key is only known to origin. So that private key is what's going to be used to sign the claim. So let's go ahead and try and get one of these has Facebook claims. We'll switch back to the Nick identity here, and then we're going to add a claim, and we're going to say get claim from an issuer. So that's going to list out all of these claim issuers here and all of the claims that they have available. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Facebook claim, and that is going to take us to the URL that we saw before, and it's going to redirect us to the Facebook OAuth page. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign in with a test account here, and then we're going to be popped up with the familiar Facebook auth. So we go ahead and continue, and then Facebook is going to redirect us back to our Origin Protocol app here, and in the code for this app we're essentially going to sign this piece of data, which is just a string that says verified OK, with the private key from our claim signer that we were looking at before, and we're going to end up with this signature. So let's go ahead and press the OK button, and that's going to pre-populate our claim add form here. And so the target identity is going to be Nick, the issuer is going to be Origin, the claim type is that Nick has a Facebook account, the data is just a string that says that Origin verified it, and then the signature is going to be a signed version of the claim type and the data along with that private key that's only known to Origin. So let's go ahead and add that claim now. And we can see that we have this new claim on our identity. The claim is that we have a Facebook account. The issuer is Origin, which is this identity over here. We can see that that's coming back as valid. So that's actually a valid claim right now. We can click on that to see the details of this claim and all the different fields. We can click on these little eye icons over here to get explanations of what these fields are. So let's go back to our property listing, and let's try running this rentme method again. So we're going to use the Nick identity here. We're going to check that claim exists on the Nick identity. We can see that it does exist now. So this is mined in block 11. And this contract is checking the Nick identity contracts for a claim of type has Facebook issued by the Origin identity contract. and when it tried to validate that, it found that it could actually validate that, so we get this valid message over here. So now let's go and see what happens if we remove this claim signer key from the origin issuer. So this is the key that's used to sign claims. So if we were to remove this key now, I have to switch to the correct wallet in order to get access to do that. If we go ahead and remove this key, and let's go have a look at the NIC identity, and we can see that this has Facebook claim is now invalid because the key that we need in order to validate that claim is no longer present on the origin identity contract. This claim is now invalid. And so again, if we go back to the property listing and try and run this method rentme, then we can see that it's now coming back as invalid. So so that's how we can prove that the NIC identity no longer has a valid claim from the origin issuer. So that's pretty much what I wanted to demo. There's some other features of this app. You can see all of the events that have been emitted from these different from these identity contracts. So if we go to the NIC identity and look at the events, we can see all these events that have happened over the lifetime of this contract. We can also go to the info tab to get the address of the contract and the owner of the contract. And we can also, if we're on the correct wallet, we can remove this identity. And that's pretty much it.